Welcome to all of you again. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Ujjwala. I'm the managing editor at Jobs for Her, and it's my pleasure to be the host for today's conference. To set the tone of this conference, I'd like each one of you to write down anything that comes to mind when you hear the word bias and build that list up as the day progresses, because I'm sure you'll come across plenty of insights that will make you want to think about what we've been doing at home, in the workplace, and outside. Break the bias, they say. And if you ask me, unconscious bias is what comes to my mind instantly. But what we will continue to do is to turn this unconscious bias into being consciously unbiased. Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you all to AccelHERate 2022, India's biggest diversity conference for women-friendly companies, promoting gender balance to increase recruitment, retention, and promotion of women in the Indian workforce. In keeping with the theme for International Women's Day this year, Break the Bias, AccelHERate will showcase thought leaders from diverse fields, engaging in roundtable discussions, panel discussions, workshops about how corporate India can break the limitations on women's careers and delve into the different aspects of bias that have plagued the workforce for years now. Vijayaraman Subramanian, Vice President and Managing Director, Verizon India. Let me give you a short description or profile about Mr. Vijayaraman. As the India head, he spearheads the charter for transforming and evolving Verizon India as a strategic development center, an innovation hub, and a great place to work for technology talent. He has been associated with Verizon India since its inception in 2001. As a passionate leader and firm believer in empowerment, championing customer-focused innovation, leading people through change, and building high-performance, diverse, and inclusive teams, he also focuses on organization-level initiatives like talent transformation, driving innovation through intrapreneurship, and ecosystem connect with startups, academia, and industry peers. We cannot wait to hear from you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Ujjwala. I hope you can hear me and see me clearly.
Yes, we can.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction. And, Neha, thank you for sharing the insights. It's amazing to see women leaders like you, founders of startups, truly inspirational, not just for the women, but for people like myself. I truly am inspired by what you're doing today. So at the outset, let me start by thanking Jobs for Her, for creating this platform, for your continued efforts in working with the industry and retaining the focus on strengthening diversity across the corporate realm, because it's extremely important. We heard from Neha about biases. You heard from Ujjwala talking about taking notes on the different types of biases. Biases exist. It's part of how we grow up. A lot of it is how we have evolved. And, a lot of it is how we have absorbed various things around us and absorbed various things through the period that we're growing up. And we continue to learn and create biases and break biases as long as we live. So it's a privilege and an honor for me to deliver this keynote address on the topic of Break the Bias. Very passionate about this subject myself. And, it brings to light the dire need to create a world free of biases, stereotypes, discrimination, a world that is diverse, equitable, and extremely inclusive, right? Very important for all of us to realize that while we have our own biases, and biases and choices, both are different. And a lot of that is actually unconscious in nature. By facilitating a discussion on this topic, I believe we are sparking off a thought, a lot of deliberations, and very importantly, inspiration on a subject that needs attention across the board, right? It's not just about doing this today in this conference. It's not just about doing this in the next month because it's fresh in our minds. It is an extremely important change in our behaviors it is important for us to realize that this is an ongoing effort, and it requires effort. Just like, somebody who wants to stay fit, somebody who wants to run a marathon, somebody who wants to learn swimming, somebody who wants to learn classical singing or anything for that matter, there's a constant effort that's required to make sure that we are conscious about our biases and very importantly, do not let any unconscious bias creep into our minds. And if it does, we have to figure out a way to break the bias. And this is extremely important, for achieving success in its entirety with respect to breaking the bias. It's not going to happen overnight. It's a constant effort. And I hope and pray that this breed of people spreads across the world, and everybody thinks about biases and unconscious biases in their minds. So how is the current scenario stacked up? You saw a bunch of graphs and a bunch of data points that Neha shared. Very insightful, very, very interesting points that she made. Women in India make almost half of the population, right? 48 or 49% of the total population based on the latest census data. Now, extrapolate that further, take it further down, funnel it further. Only 20% of them are in the labor force, right? Even went down further. Very disheartening, but at the same time, something, as an opportunity or a challenge that we all have to take up as leaders to make sure that we bring back women to the workforce. Now, we are in the tech industry at Verizon India, right? We do a lot of technology work. We are an engineering-focused organization. In the technology realm, in the technology space, women make up about 36% of the workforce, according to the NASSCOM reports. If you further distill it down, if you look at the women who graduate out of STEM, STEM basically, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics stream of education in India, that's about 43%, right? And then if you go further down, when it comes to pure engineering subjects, if you have to look at engineering grads, the women enrollment into engineering is about 29 or 30%. Now, right there is an opportunity for us, right? So in general, if you look at it, at every walk of life, right from education all the way up to the professional careers, there is an opportunity for us to strengthen, equitable opportunities and provide the right kind of platforms for women to succeed in various roles if they have to work and support their professional lives. Now, these statistics clearly point to a lopsided trend in gender diversity, and this is the kind of bias that we need to break. Now, imagine if more than 20%, 25, 30% of women participate in, the professions in the labor force in India. You are going to see a significant improvement in the quality of life that, our citizens have. And very importantly, they contribute directly to the growth of the country, the GDP growth. Neha spoke about contribution to the bottom line. That's absolutely true. But more importantly, it's also very important for you to know that as more and more women come into, the corporate world or into the labor market, the quality of life improves. And this is not something that, we are not aware of. We all know this. We have seen many developed countries and countries that are well set, in terms of equitable opportunities, doing very well. It is extremely important that we as corporate India and leaders, representing the industry, have a strong role to play in breaking the bias and facilitating the change in the perspective, the change in the perception, the change in the way we think and provide opportunities to all people, irrespective of their backgrounds, irrespective of their diverse backgrounds, including, whether they are a man or they are a woman. So that's the perspective that we need to build as corporate leaders, for this country to develop into a country that can provide equitable opportunity to women in workforce. We have to create more role models. Like I said, inspirational to see Neha talk today. She's the founder of this forum. And we are seeing quite a few women founders coming out, creating organizations, creating corporations. It's very heartening to see that. But we need a lot more of that. And, these are the role models and their success stories within the inner circle or within the network of women, and even within the families, is very important to tell the story, because that is how you nurture, encourage, and create an environment that then inspires many more girls and women to come and start doing these things. And that in turn will create a movement which will then spur a revolution, which is what is needed right now. Now, if you look at when we talk about women at work, when we talk about women in workforce, one of the other areas that we need to really continuously focus on and nurture is to develop leadership, women leaders in an organization. During various phases of their life, because of life cycle events, women are likely to prioritize their domestic and personal responsibilities ahead of their professional life. And it is also not primarily just because of their choice. It's a lot to do with the societal pressures, the societal norms, and the expectations that a society, as a society, we have specifically on a woman, that she needs to be a homemaker, that she needs to be the person who's taking care of the house. A lot of this stems from the generational, creation of thoughts, or the way we have seeded ourselves in our minds. And I'm very excited to see a lot of women, breaking these barriers and coming out into various professions. But we need a lot more to be done in that space. And when it comes to the professional career, when it comes to the corporate world, what we see is the percentage of women dropping as they rise in the organization, right? So you have a good number of women joining the workforce at the lower end of the organization, at the lower level of the hierarchy. And then as they move for, progress into mid to senior to executive level, that number starts trending down, and at C-suite level or board level, it's abysmally low. And that is an opportunity again. And, it's very important that organizations and leaders sponsor and, take deliberate actions to make sure that the diversity is taken care of at all levels of the organization. It is extremely important for the health of the organization. It's extremely important for the health of the customer base that we serve. And it's extremely important because, the kind of perspectives and diverse thoughts and various ideas that come out of a diverse workforce can truly change the way a business runs. And not only that, it can also truly change the way the customers perceive the business. And it's very important, not only because of that, but it's also important that you are now getting the other half of the population into the workforce at all levels of the organization to support the growth of the organization, in turn supporting the industry, in turn supporting the economy, and in turn supporting the country. So it's very important that we take a deliberate, intentional stand and focus on these things as leaders. And that is something that I try to do. And I keep telling myself that it's an extremely important aspect as a leader to focus on. To address this, of course, organizations need to curate a lot of women-focused programs. We heard, again, Aneha talk about various such programs and segments, that are being created within the corporate world, which is very heartening to see. And we need to have a very strong back-to-work programs for women. Many women take a break, obviously, like I said, due to life cycle events or childbirth. But it's very important to have an opportunity or provide them an opportunity to come back into the workforce when they're ready to do so. Now, at Verizon India, the organization that I'm representing and I work for, we are very proud to have a robust framework that fosters a culture that is diverse, inclusive, and we have an extremely good diversity and inclusion pillar in the organization, and we are very, very deliberate about making sure that we are creating a diverse workforce for our organization. Now, we have very strong women-friendly policies, whether it is maternity policy. We have a gradual return to work policy for women who just want to return to work gradually after childbirth. We have a mystical motherhood program. When it comes to hiring, we have specific drives for gender diversity hiring. Then we have programs like Wings, which is a platform for women who have taken a career break and they want to come back to resume work. Not only that, we also created a program called the Women of the World, where we sponsor women to get into those programs and build their leadership capabilities. And it's extremely important, like I said, to find sponsorship, allyship, and create a platform to develop leadership, especially women in leadership roles. We also have an association. We call it the Women at Verizon. This is an association called WAVE, which focuses on creating awareness, which focuses on creating programs that run throughout the year where women come and participate. And it's not just for women, it's also for men to participate. And we open it up to make sure that everybody understands the perspective of diversity. We spoke about biases. We spoke about biases that start right from the time we start hiring all the way into creating opportunities for women at the topmost level of the organization. At Verizon, we have a program called Unconscious Bias. And this is a program that every individual goes through, every manager goes through to understand what are the various types of biases that we carry without even knowing that we are carrying these biases. And this program runs throughout the year, and we make sure that everybody goes through it. Not only that, when it comes to hiring, we have a program called Interviewing at Verizon, where we try to make sure that we keep the interview very objective and don't get into subjective aspects as to what gender the person is, as to what life cycle even they are going through, as to what is their current situation with respect to their life or lifestyle, the individual on how they fit into the role. And that program has helped us build a very, very clear path for identifying talent and bringing them into our fold without having biases in our mind. And that helps us. And these are the kind of programs that we have launched to make sure that we are able to create an equitable opportunity for all types of folks to join our organization, irrespective of their background. And we provide an equitable opportunity for them to come and work with us. Now, this is only possible through ongoing efforts to create awareness. Sessions like these are extremely important. And I request all of you to go and spread the awareness all around. It's very important that all of us, whether you're a man or a woman, go and spread the awareness about unconscious bias and how we can break the bias. And I would start by urging our leaders in the technology industry to come forward and help change the narrative by increasing the participation of women in the workforce from about 36% to 50 or even more than 50% sometime. And hopefully we can achieve that because they represent half of our population. And I request each one of you to take a pledge, and support the cause of breaking the bias. And let's commit that we will break at least one bias today, and we will identify a few more that we can work on. And trust me, together, when we focus on this, to consciously break the unconscious bias, I think we would have achieved what we have set out to do. And together we can forge women's equality. Together we can create a world which is equal for all types of genders and values differences, values diversity, and we celebrate the fact that we have a wonderful, diverse ecosystem and variety of people with different backgrounds. And collectively, we can all break the bias. Thank you for this opportunity. It's an amazing platform and truly honored to be here with you all today.